Hi, Omega Chaos here again with the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile of 2025. And this time I'm finally showing my Dark Magician deck. So I've been working on this deck for a pretty long time. It's still pretty much a casual deck because Dark Magician hasn't gotten good support in a really long time. But I tried to make it work as best I could. Obviously there are so many Dark Magician players out there that might think differently, but I think this is my version of the deck. So first the monsters, obviously I'm using 2 Dark Magicians in this case. I decided to run 2 because I think 3 will be too much, too bricky. But of course you definitely need access to this card for sure to do your plays. Definitely, obviously, very nice, and the key card of this deck. Then I'm using 1 Magician of Chaos. A little bit of an unconventional choice, but this is actually my favorite of the Dark Magician cards. I mean, it's actually pretty nice. It's basically Rising Detonator at home, but it's still pretty nice, I think. Then I'm using 2 Illusion of Chaos. Then when it's really good to search out your Dark Magician related monsters, and in this deck you actually summon it as well. Then I'm using 3 Magician Souls. Obviously this card got reprinted in the Rarity Collection 2. For a long time I couldn't really complete this deck because this card was really expensive for a really long time. But now finally I can use it. Definitely obviously one of the best cards in the deck for sure. Then I'm using 2 Magician's Road. Not one of the main starters, but obviously because this card requires a normal summon, I think 3 is not really necessary, and also this deck doesn't really have a lot of space either. But definitely still a really amazing starter for this deck for sure. And then I'm using 1 Timaeus, the United Dragon. So it's definitely really good to summon out your fusions, for example like Dragoon or Dark Magician the Dragon Knight or something else. Definitely pretty nice. Then some other monsters. I'm using the Dogmatika engine in this deck because it actually helps out quite a lot. So I'm using 1 Dogmatika Maximus. Definitely really good for a Dogmatika combo. Pretty much definitely very nice. I'm using 1 Dogmatika Ecclesia. Search out my Dogmatika monsters like Maximus or something like Dogmatika Banishment as well. Definitely pretty nice. Then of course I'm using some hand taps obviously because you have to have them. So 3 Ashbros obviously. And then 3 Effect Veiler. I think it's still pretty good, but obviously it's not as good currently as it was in the Snake Eye format, but I still can't really think anything else to use other than this. Then let's see the special traps. So of course I'm using the 2 Dark Magician Circle, which you really only need 1, but since this card always becomes the target for removal, the second one is pretty nice to have for follow-up. Definitely very nice because it's one of your main disruptions in the deck. Then I'm using 1 Magician's Salvation to pretty much set my Eternal Soul to the field, and also I can mostly send it for Magician's Souls to the graveyard and draw 1, for example, because I don't really use the second effect because I don't use Dark Magician Girl in the deck. Then I'm using 1 Illusion Magic. I use this one because I can gain access to the Dark Magicians just by normal summoning your Magician's Road, and sometimes that combination kind of comes up as well. Then I'm using 1 Seed of Dark Magic. Pretty good, either fusion summon or ritual summon your monsters, so definitely pretty good for that, to summon like Master of Chaos, for example, or ritual summon your monsters like Illusion of Chaos and Magician of Chaos. Then using something pretty unusual, 1 Advanced Ritual Art. The main reason I'm using this is because of the fact that I can ritual summon my Illusion of Chaos with this card, but just by sending a Dark Magician to the graveyard, and also it's searchable by sending my Herald of Arclight to the graveyard with Dogmatika Maximus, for example. So definitely it's pretty good, I would say, but pretty much the best ritual spell to use to summon out your ritual monsters, basically. Then I'm using 3 Native Servant for a Dogmatika engine. Obviously really important, very nice. It must gain you a lot of advantage in the deck and get you that Dogmatika Maximus as well. Then I'm using 2 Preparation of Rights to search out my Illusion of Chaos or Magician of Chaos if I want that. Then 1 Portable Prosperity, obviously, to get your pieces. The last spell, of course, is 1 Cobra Grave. Definitely really good. Then I'm using 2 Eternal Soul. Not one of the main cards in the deck, obviously. You can summon damage from the hand or graveyard every turn, basically. But of course, this card has a huge weakness. That if this card leaves the field, all my monsters are destroyed. And again, I'm using 2 because it also becomes, of course, target for removal. And it's nice to have a second one, of course, especially with Magician Salvation as well, being in the deck. Then I'm using 1 Shadow Schism. Because of course, with the Dogmatika engine, I can search this card as well to summon out my Shadow Window from the extra deck. Then I'm using 1 Ancient Statue Azeron, because I had playing the Rabbit in the extra deck, so definitely really good interruption. Then using 1 Dogmatika Punishment, pretty good as well, obviously. And then, of course, the last cards in the main deck are 3 Infinite Permanents, obviously. Now, let's see the next deck. Of course, I'm using that 1 Master of Chaos. Of course, I don't resummon it very often, but it definitely can come up. Then, of course, I'm using 1 Red Eye Star Dragoon. Obviously, really amazing, but this deck doesn't really focus on summoning it, really. I don't use anything like Red Eye Fusion or anything like that, because I think that belongs to the Red Eye deck, basically. And I think just relying on Dragoon doesn't really make sense to me. Then I'm using 1 Dalmatian the Dragon Knight, pretty good as well. Protects your backrow, can come up in some situations. And of course, this card also is Dalmatian on the field or graveyard, so I can summon it back with that Eternal Soul, for example. Then using 1 the Dalmatians, pretty good as well. Then 1 Korura, the Wings of Resonant Life. Basically, it's a Nadir Servant target, just send it to the graveyard, and then I can draw 1, definitely very nice. Then Elsa's Upclone, because of the Dogmatika Maximus, I can send it to the graveyard with Dogmatika Maximus, and again, I can search the Solar Schism from the deck. Now, of course, using the Elsa's Winda, because I can, of course, summon it with Solar Schism, then maybe just looks on Spell Summoning, because then each player can only summon Spell Summon once, definitely very nice. Then using 1 Elder Entis, again, just next target for like Nadir Servant and Punishment or Maximus, definitely very nice. Using 1 Golden Cloud Priest Malong, pretty much for the same reason as Entis, just bounces instead of destroying. Then 1 Herald Farlight. One of the main reasons I use Dogmatika engine in the deck and Dogmatika Maximus, because I send the graveyard with Dogmatika Maximus, and then I can search for either Ritual Monster or Ritual Spell. So I can, if I don't have access to Illusion of Chaos, for example, I can search that and get access to Dalmatian related monsters, or if I already have it, then I can search for Ritual Spell card and then potentially summon it. Definitely very nice. Then some links, using 1 Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. Of course, this is mostly a dark based deck, definitely pretty good for that. Using 1 Esmeralda Knight, definitely still one of the best linked monsters in the game. Then 1 Shiro Hat Rabbit, because just by having my 2 monsters, 2 effect monsters, I can just summon this and get another interruption to the board, because of course this deck has a really low ceiling, so you need as many interruptions as you can get. Then using 1 Artemis, just to send like Road to the Graveyard, for example, and then so like a Krisa can be live, for example. And then the last card in the deck is 1 Induk, the Virtuous Dragon, because it's I can just link summon it by using Domination, and it's also Dragon, which means if I can use Seeds of Dark Magic to summon out Dragoon, for example. Definitely very nice for that. So, this was my Dark Magician Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, at least my version of it. Obviously, I hope this deck gets more support in the future, because right now, blue-wise will get a lot of really good support. That's going to make it very competitive actually, and actually even Realize got some kind of indirect support with the Metamorph engine, and it's going to continue getting it. But Dark Magician right now is kind of left in dust, so I hope it actually gets something. So I hope you enjoyed this Yu-Gi-Oh! Tech profile. For now, good band, Vikings, out.